And it is episode number 36 of Blunt Talk. This year is flying by. I cannot believe that it is almost already fall. My apartment is definitely feeling it. At night, it starts to get hella cold. I don't have the best insulation, and I'm in like a basement unit apartment. So, like, it's been getting a little cold at night, and I've been a little upset. But anyways, episode 36 here. I got BlkSknn joining me today for the conversation. He's already smoking up. What you smoking on over there?
Just finished a spliff of Gary Payton. I'm about to do some purple mimosa from 7.
Ooh, nice. I just had the Gary what was that, like a week or two ago, maybe? Not on the show, but I had picked up some Gary Payton from my shop. And I like Gary Payton. It's got a good like balanced high to it, I feel.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites right now. It's like super gassy, and it just always gets that like batch of Gary Payton.
Yeah. We have the Gary Payton from Royal Tree at my shop, and the nugs on it were always like, it just looks like super pretty to me. And so it's hard for me to resist really pretty looking nugs. And so that's usually what gets me. And when I'm staring at it all day long, it's hard not to want to cop it, you know? So I rock with that.
I used to work at a dispensary, so I had the same of staring at weed all day and trying not to buy it. Then at the end of your shift, you're like, fuck it.
I guess I'm spending another fucking $60-$100 today. That's what I always end up like. Like, I keep like shopping and I'm like, oh, I should buy some of this tonight. I should buy some of this tonight. I should buy some of this tonight. And then I go to like ring it all out and I'm like, damn, how the fuck am I spending like $80 more today? I just spent this much yesterday on a bunch of shit.
The discount make you feel like you're not spending money, but it's weird because like you didn't want to spend the money, but because you're getting a discount, you think you're saving money, but it's like
you're
a weird
really
balance.
Not. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I rolled my blunt up a little bit too tight. That's what happens sometimes.
Yeah, I've been fucking with these transparent papers lately. They're interesting.
Clear ones?
They're like, there's these right here. They're made of like cellulose.
Interesting.
I think it's like from like cotton, and so they kind of like take the cotton, stretch it out over and over till it gets that liquid form, and they stretch it till it's like transparent paper from it.
That's crazy. I haven't seen that brand before. I've seen the clear papers, and like when I was like a teenager and shit, we saw those clear papers and we were like, oh my God, that's so cool. You can see the weed. And so we had to buy them. But I remember back in the day, they sucked ass. Like they didn't burn very well. It was basically just like smoking plastic while you're smoking weed, which I mean, that's not far from the pop can era either. So, you know, my lungs have smoked through aluminum. I think I can smoke through a little plastic. But it sounds like they've really upgraded the paper, the quality of the paper, and made it smoke a little bit better, which is real nice. So that's kind of cool, though. I like the clear. I like to be able to see the weed, which is why I like elements and rice papers and shit, because you can usually like still see the weed a little bit through it. So I fuck with that. I've been big on like hemp wraps and just like non-tobacco, basically blunt style wraps. I get hated on a lot because there's no tobacco in there. People are like, that ain't a blunt, but I'm like, bitch, this shit's gonna burn hella long, and that's what I want from a blunt, is that long, slow burn, you know what I mean? Like, I don't need the buzz from the tobacco. I used to smoke cigarettes way back in the day, and I don't need that shit no more, you know? I'm over the tobacco, but I don't know, I can burn through a joint like I would burn through a cigarette. And so I'm done with it in like 7 minutes. And I'm like, well, that was cool, but like I still want to smoke. You know what I mean? So I love these hemp wraps.
Yeah, I did. I've tried to cough a lot, though. It's just weird.
Yeah.
it's weird because I smoke, I don't cough as much, and it's extra strange. Like tobacco would make me cough more than the hemp wrap, but the processes are a little bit different. Where the difference is, you know?
Yeah, 100%. I am not a big cougher in general when I smoke weed. I think I attribute that to how often and how much I was smoking cigarettes and how long I smoked cigarettes too. I don't know whether I just paralyzed my fucking lungs and the cilia inside of it, so my lungs just aren't even phased by smoke anymore. I don't know what it is, but I often don't cough too much until the cotton mouth hits, and then once the cotton mouth hits, it's game over. I'm coughing like nobody's business, but I don't know what it is. So I guess I just don't really notice a difference between how harsh it is. I think I notice the most like distinction between like the flavor of a paper or a wrap rather
Yeah,
than how harsh it is to smoke. So I don't know. I don't
yeah,
really have kind of like an opinion on how harsh papers are just because I don't really cough, which is also a blessing. I'm kind of happy about that. But I don't know. That would be an interesting experiment to do with somebody who has healthier lungs than I do, to be able to test different papers and tell me which one's the harshest or not. So,
mm,
if anybody wants to do that experiment, holler at me. I'll set it up, I'll host it, and we can run it like a game show or something. I don't know.
yeah.
We'll
I,
make it
I,
happen. It's in the works. I'll plot this out. For my blunt of the week this week, though, I've been really big into mixing strains. So I mixed two strains. Whoops, Lifted is upside down. They're both upside down. There we go. Sort of. Lifted and Royal Tree. I got the Bacio Gelato from Royal Tree, and then I got the Biscotti here from Lifted. And I mixed these two together and rolled them up today. And so far, it is really tasty. It's like super sweet and creamy, and with just like a little bit of gassiness on the back end. But I was really hoping that this would be like super super sweet and really nice and tasty. And plus, I like the wrap, the flavor of this wrap. It has almost like not quite like vanilla y, but almost on the cusp of being like a vanilla y flavor to it. So really enjoying this blend so far.
that
Uh,
sounds like a mix too. The vanilla with the biscuit, that's like a dream mix right there.
oh man, yeah. I when I started rolling it up and I pulled the paper out of the wrap after I'd ground up the bud, I was like, "Ooh, yeah, this is going to be a good combination." And I'm like trying to create these different combinations of flour and wraps to kind of like curate almost like a menu of different blunts. And I hate myself for bringing this up on a live stream because I feel like somebody might see this and scoop my idea up. But I also feel like many other people might have already had this concept. But I would love to be able to work in a consumption lounge. If I could even run my own consumption lounge in the future, I would have this
Mm,
lineup of different blunts that have these different combinations. Like I've rolled up a peanut butter and jelly blunt before, that really like had that peanut butter and jelly sandwich kind of flavor profile to it.
that's
So yeah, I want to do shit like that. I think it would be like super fucking rad to do, and just have people experience like those different, whether it's flavor profiles or even effect profiles, because I like mixing like a nice indica with a good sativa to kind of make this blend that you wouldn't get otherwise. So yeah, I like to play around with
yeah.
it.
I gotta try that because I'm scared of sativas. I won't lie. Like they always make me really pale. Maybe I gotta try and mix it with indica.
100%. Yeah. Those people that don't like sativa, what I usually recommend is mixing it with like a heavier body sedating indica as well. or it just really depends on the sativa, I guess. You got to know whether it's like if it's a buzzy, energizing kind of sativa, like a tangy is usually like really, really like hyperactive and energizing. So a lot of people really get anxiety from it, like a tangy strain. But when you mix tangy with something heavy like kosher kush, a lot of people will mix tangy with a kush, and then it kind of like balances it all out, and then you meet in the middle to where you have like a nice like social kind of boost, but you don't feel like your mind is gonna fucking explode or something. Because that I definitely have had my fair share of panic attacks off of a tangy.
Mm, okay, I'm gonna actually try. I'm gonna try that next indica with a sativa and see how that does for me.
Yeah, or go for like more of a floral sativa and more of a hazier sativa, because those ones are usually a little bit more mellow and a little bit more like you feel stoned in the head, but you're not like sleepy kind of a thing. So, um, I don't know, like
Right
Maui
there.
Wowie is sometimes a good one to go for. I hate to say it, but Blue Dream's always a good one to go for. Although, I mean, like everybody's a little bit different. So, my favorite thing to do with sativas nowadays, though, I won't even front. I throw CBD in the mix and take it down a notch psychoactive wise. Like a lot of the shit that I like to smoke during the day, I don't really want to feel intoxicated at all. I'd
Mm,
rather just feel like adjusted and feel right than be like stupid
yeah,
dumb in the head, you know?
I get that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a suggestion there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely a good way to go. Um so yeah, let's dive on into some of your music and shit. Now that we've talked about weed a bit, let's talk about some of your music. I know you incorporate weed into your music, obviously. And what was really cool to see, was it last year or even earlier this year? You were doing a bunch of videos of you rapping in the car.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was earlier this year.
Word. Time has been not making sense lately. So, when I'm scrolling through my feed, I see a lot of these cool things and it really resonates me, and I just lose track of when I ever saw it. There was something that I saw not that long ago on Instagram that I was like, "Oh, didn't that happen like 6 months ago?" And they were like, "Well, that was last week." And I was like, "Well, perfect." So,
Yeah.
anyways, let's start there because that was really cool, especially because you did so many of them consistently that it was almost like you were doing reps every day kind of a thing, um, sitting in your car and just spitting over and over and over again. So where did that like concept come from for you?
Uh, so like early I would just like I would literally sit at home all day and working. As my career progressed, it moved away from like me having fun with the music, trying to make a business out of it and plan everything out, and it just became more hectic and then down and writing and creating. And so I personally felt like I lost some of the same kick that I had back then. And so my plan was to go basically write a whole verse um, to beat I felt comfortable writing to also switch it up a little bit, same type of beat every time.
Yeah.
But the plan was basically to just sharpen the sword. Like it makes it so that like yesterday, for example, I was recording a song, this little piece at the end that there's nothing on, and I had to put something there, and I had to come up with 5 minutes. I had something written, and then I recorded it, and it sounds great, and it makes it so I can more easily instead of getting so stressed out about the actual art itself.
Yeah, that's crucial. I did notice that your beat production was kind of all over the place, and you have like this. I've definitely noticed that there's like a cohesive overarching sound to a lot of like the production that you rap over, but when you dig into it, there's a lot of little nuances that make them very different, and a lot of it is all just like smooth kind of, I hate using this term, but right now it's the best fitting, like vibey, chill, like I'm hanging out, kicking back kind of vibe to it. But you do have a lot of different shit. Do you just like to like dig around and explore like beats often? Do you have like, just like growing up, did you have like a lot of influences that kind of have led you to be that diverse? Like what's that process like for you choosing what you rhyme over?
It kind of just, it's like I don't know, it's like the beat has to make me feel something. You know, it has to make me feel the first thing. And if it makes me feel something, I can generally figure something out. And just, it's hard to even explain. It kind of just like something will pop in my head, you
Yeah,
know. And
totally. No, I totally get that.
yeah, is selecting the beat further than me just like feeling something from the beat. I just, when I was growing up, I listened to a lot of Nas, a lot of Jay-Z, Ludacris, a lot of Missy Elliott, a lot of DMX, a lot of Ja Rule. I like the older sounding stuff, but then I
Mm,
like also like the a lot of the newer mixing nowadays to make things sound a little bit different or hit a little bit harder. I like the new technique. I try to find beats that cross both paths together. You know,
yeah.
I like to say it leaves you feel today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and you said something really interesting there too, about how you like modern day mixing a little bit better than they what they were doing back in the day. And that's not something
Mm-hmm.
that I hear like a lot of people commenting on and talking about. But I, as a consumer, I can understand that, and I've heard the progression on it, especially like with a lot of independent artists and whatnot, and being able to have access to a lot of these programs and a lot of this professional equipment in order to get the mixes a little bit better and not necessarily have to go through like a super professional studio. Now, do you do mixing yourself?
So in the past I have, and in the past I also my projects I've had mixed by other people. Um, my most successful self, and so
Hmm.
I've gotten back to mixing my own music and putting out will be like will be all the vocals are mixed by me. You know, the beat sent to me, and then I take the beat and I do whatever I needed to do. I do what I need to do to the beat. I mix all the vocals myself. Um,
That's awesome.
I like I like it. It's like before like everything was digital. You
Hmm.
know, they fix sound that comes with recording analog, and it's hard to achieve that sound, especially if you're bringing your music to someone else to mix, because the instinct is to make it sound similar to everything you hear nowadays.
Right.
Is to take out all of the things that'll make it sound more warm and analog. Like my when I mix my music, I like to keep a lot of those warm things in, so ends as most people would take out. Like I keep a lot of those things so that it actually kind of feels like this and mixed it analog. You know,
Yeah.
I like to keep that to make it feel like it's just the end of summer, you know, start of fall. You
Yeah. And that's, I mean, when I can feel, I usually relate artists to a season or like just like a type of weather pattern kind of a thing. So that's um kind of interesting that you said that about end of summer, early fall kind of a vibe to it, because that's definitely like the golden hue of the sun coming through when the sun's setting, you know, at like damn near 6 o'clock, you know, some of these days. Like I shed a little tear the other day when I saw the sun, because usually the sun sets like midsummer. The sun will be setting in my kitchen, but the sun started setting like more towards like where my living room area is, and like
Mhm.
over in this window that's right behind me. And I was like, damn, it's really about to be fall. Like summer's really over. Like motherfucker. Ah, but what's so cool about that is that my musical taste will change now, and I start to embrace people who have that tonal quality to it, or just like that feeling of it. And that's kind of what I love about music, is that it always changes just given whatever my environment is, whatever the weather is like. No matter what, I know that there's always going to be some type of music that's going to be fitting for that, and it's just all about finding whatever that music is and then just plugging that into my playlist during these times of year. So that's really cool, that you mentioned that. I really like that quite a bit. I like when people are aware of that as well. And one thing that I will say, just while I'm thinking about tone of music and shit, is that tonally the quality of your voice and the way that it sounds, and then your flow and your cadence and all of that combined, that it really does bring me back to the early years of hip hop and a lot of that classic kind of feeling, and the feeling that I really got when I first heard some of like I listened to Ludacris's Chicken and Beer when it came
Oh,
out. Like I was
amazing song.
fucking what, 6 or 7 years old when that came out. I think it came out 2001, 2002, right? I was born in 94. So yeah, I was hella young, but my dad brought that home, and I like remember being a kid and listening to it and just being like, damn, this motherfucker, like this sounds so good. Like, and I fell in love with hip hop at such an early age because of that. And I feel like you have that kind of tonal quality that brings me back to when I first heard some of those people spit. And that's why I really enjoy listening to you rap and listening to your music, is because it just kind of takes me back, and it literally is one of those things where I just feel myself relax. And that's what I'm hoping for a lot with music, is that relaxation, you know, and being able to just kind of like chill and mellow out. So I really do appreciate that about your music.
Thank, thank you. I try to bring that because that's what I like to hear when I listen. I
Yeah.
like the stuff that I like the hype shit, but then most of the time I'm listening to shit that. So I
Yeah.
just try to bring what I want.
Yeah. Do you put any effort into the way that you spit? Like, do you have like a ritual to take care of like your vocal cords? Or do you like when you go to approach a verse, like, are you putting any emphasis on like certain inflections, or like, do you have anything that you really do? Or is this just like natural, your natural, like kind of flow?
First, that was a and but I think it's like I just kind of like I I write it all in certain inflections. So sometimes it's like it feels like a conversation with somebody, and sometimes I'll
Mm,
write it if I'm standing on a podium in a way that's supposed to bring everybody up. Sometimes I write it as if I'm standing on that same podium, berating all of these terrible people individually, like, and
yeah.
so like I like scenes in my mind, kind of, and so that's where the inflections come from. It's kind of theatrical. I like it to be
Yeah.
kind of cinematic. I write cinema.
That's so dope. I love to hear shit like that, because it really shows through, and it creates just a much more like dynamic sound, a dynamic song or album entirely. Like I the effort and just having even like the initial thought to approach it that way rather than just to be able to say words, it's just it's that's what I love about music. And what I love about people making music is those creative approaches to it. So fuck yeah, that's super dope. So let's talk about some of your projects and some of your music. I think one of the first, like, I had heard about you and heard some things and shit, but back in 2019 when you put out Betty White, I think was when I was like really like, oh fuck yeah, I need to follow him and listen more and dig in a little bit more. But then as of lately, what was it? Disconnect too that you put out back in 2020. I remember when the pandemic hit, and I mean there was just so much time to dig through and listen to music and whatnot. Let's talk about a little bit about that and putting out Disconnect too and that kind of like time period. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Oh man, it was interesting because it was like extremely stressful, like personal things in my life. But then
Yeah.
like the pandemic like started then too. I was also like still where like during the I never stood inside the period where they were inside for a long time. I that never
Mhm.
happened. I was outside the whole
Yeah.
time. It was everything felt like super eerie, and then like the protests started happening, and it
Yeah.
was just and so like uh and like crazy in that time period, and making that project just allowed me to like the title is called is the point like of that series, you know, disconnecting
Mhm.
and I get forward and honest with yourself about where you are in life, you know, like, and so I took that moment to kind of just, yeah, to just explore and figure out what to do next, essentially, you know, and where I want to be, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it was a tough process, but it was, you know,
yeah, cathartic, I'm sure,
yeah,
just getting emotions and feelings out during that time. Um,
yeah,
I feel like any way possible was
yeah,
important.
yeah. And it was like the personal things that I was going through at that time. It really like it really with creating the project too, because
Yeah.
it just kind of when I create, there's there's always generally a concept behind it, and the concept leads to more personal growth for me because I'm allowed to then take this as a playground for my emotions and my feelings, you know, to like really read and figure out why I feel certain ways and turn it into and maybe take the same thing from, you know.
For
And
real.
if I can do that, then with is worth it.
For sure. God, for sure. Man, hitting it with gems today. Lots and lots of gems today from you. I'm loving this. This is really one of the first times that I've gotten to connect with you. I followed you on socials for a while now and kind of only interacted a little bit, but this is beautiful to be able to talk to you about a lot of this stuff. So, fuck
Yeah,
yeah.
this is
Let's move kind of. Oh, what were you going to say?
oh no, I was gonna say I say like I'm like a Pokemon, and it's like come out when I need to, and then sometimes I'm just in a ball and stuff like this and connect with you finally after so many years.
Yeah, for real. That's so funny that you say that though, because I'll see your name pop up randomly on like a flyer for a show here or a flyer for a show there. But yeah, like catching you out in the wild is a very, it's a very, very seldom thing. So that's super funny that you said that. You're like the fucking Pokemon out here. Oh, I love that. So let's move forward then a little bit into the discography, and let's move more towards like fucking what was it, Dolo Man and was it Day in the Life?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Two
Yes,
projects
yes,
were
yes. I'm
amazing.
trying to remember these off top when I was digging through your discography earlier. So I'm doing well so far. I'm liking
Yeah,
this.
you
But
got
yeah,
you're very good.
let's talk about that era.
Okay. So Dolo was me getting back into releasing and creating it for a while. We were disconnected too, um, just because I had to figure out what I creating music. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so Dolo Man was me returning and really just kind of taking the same disconnect concept and kind of digging deeper into it and just being super, instead of being introspective and stepping on that other side of the day introspective with that one.
Mm-hmm.
And to make it was fun to get back into the groove of things. Day in the Life was a fitting on for a while, and I had it to put it out. It was put in there. He used to go by Erskine. We did a lot of shows together. And so I found all his beats one day, and I was like, oh, I'm about to just record this and just do it. And so
Yeah.
I just put out the project, and it felt like defense to just put random shit out, thing. And so it just felt good to do it. That's one of the projects that I maybe want to revisit one day, do some dope shit with.
Yeah. But I mean, hey, any kind of release, even if it's not like this, like thought out premise plan or whatever, and just being able to just put shit out. I mean, any way that you can do it is that release. It's. I feel like you have a cohesive, like I was kind of saying earlier, like this cohesive sound, even though you explore these little nuances within it. I feel like you do have a pretty good voice right now in your music. And so, I'm down for whatever you release, whatever whatever it is. So that's rad. That's good to hear. And so with I know you're working on some of your new music. You've put out a couple of singles as of lately, but I know you're working on a new project. So how has that differed from working on some of your last projects?
All right, so these hold. All right, sorry, my phone did. Um, so this project that I'm working on than anything I worked on, and I have more people. I'm doing a lot more in-depthing how to actually use each of the plugins instead of just like sliding it sound like. The concept is super layered, and so if you're really a music person, you'll find a bunch of Easter eggs. Okay, I'm gonna just so Carl, the concept is basically as humans we're all a body of water,
Okay.
and only as get to of shifting that body of water.
I think you just kind of like cut out there in half of what you said.
Okay, it's probably because I'm too. Can you hear me now?
I mean, that's a little bit better. I think it's just kind of choppy. I think your phone's starting to get kind of choppy on us.
Give me one. All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it's how we are the moon. Concept is we're all this thing is a part of water essentially, and
Uh huh.
only a select few of us get the opportunity of that body of water, and those people are the moon. You know, and so we're digging into that concept, uh, in in touch with my heritage,
Yeah.
and so a lot of like spiritual senses,
Yeah.
uh, and it's helping me a lot with the authenticity of the project, you know, and how it cuts through emotional over
Yeah.
everything else, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's really different than everything that are. I'm gonna continue on here from putting out full projects. I feel like that just gets the point across a lot better.
Man, that's amazing to hear. I spent a lot of the past couple of years. I've talked about it a lot on this show, and I talk about it a lot in my daily life now. I've spent a lot of time microdosing the past couple of years and like working on some like personal therapy sessions to work out some of like my traumas that I like have from my childhood and growing up and shit like that, and so I've gotten like really in touch with like myself and like my inner spirituality. And it's crazy, I read the Tao of Wu by Riza years ago, back when it came out, and I just continue to revisit over and over again, right? And so I have a newfound like viewpoint on spirituality and like religion and like God and like what is God and like is
Mm.
there God and like what does that look like and shit like that. And it's given me like a whole different perspective on a lot of things. And really like I've just like learned that like myself is God almost, and like that my body is God, and I am like in that book in the Tao Wu, Riza puts it as like you are the woo, and the woo is the way, and the way of God, kind of a thing. And so my body is that God that I need to be, praising and worshiping and taking care of. And it's just given me like such a different outlook, and I've been like very having these like spirituality conversations with people, and then like listening back to some of their music and just hearing how it has influenced that and influenced them. And I don't know, just getting like super fucking deep with it, which is really cool, in a way, because I feel like generations prior haven't really been able to have these like vulnerable moments and be able to discuss certain things and like take that approach, even though like music has always been kind of deep and intuitive and stuff in hip hop in general. I don't
Mhm.
think there's been enough of that vulnerability and talking about certain things. So I love when people, take more of a spiritual approach in whichever way that it is. I
If you
think
so,
it's
I, I feel like I was talking about there. So there, there's a niche in hip hop where they're able to talk about stuff like that, and I think there has to be a better uh, at, at stamping that and branding it, because it's existed for a long time. Like I remember I was listening to Vince Staples' "Winners Talk," super super deep one. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it was blunt, and it's still okay. He still does it in his music, and so there's people like Absol, people like Danny Brown, people like Mac Miller.
Yeah.
There's just this vein, and we have to do a better job at saying what we can separate that for the people who are looking for that you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Right. Yeah.
There's
100%.
just no. It's not called. It's not miracle you, you know. But in a way, it is. You know, it's weird. So I know
Yeah.
what you mean about.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. But it's like I said, it's cool at the same time. I am thoroughly enjoying this moment that we're in right now in music, where I don't know, you can't really put genres. You know, you can't really box people into these genres anymore that much. You can't really like it's hard to say who's going to work with who kind of a thing because of the way that the internet has connected everybody, and just like the way that people are more open to connecting with new different things, and being able to express that. I think we're just in like just such a cool moment, which might almost seem like a renaissance moment in the future, especially when we talk about advocating for, you know, social justice and climate change and all of these things that a lot of this generation is advocating for and incorporating into their music, or using whatever creative outlet they have to talk about these things. I just think that it's such a cool moment that can be so influential for so long.
Yeah, I
So yeah,
definitely.
yeah, it's it's something that I think about often. And so yeah, it's kind of cool to take a moment right now and think about that. So thank you for talking about that with me for a moment, because it's definitely something that I talk about, think about a lot. So yeah. Other than that, shit, I just got really sidetracked. That blunt got me kind of chiefed. That was really like kind of the first thing that I really smoked today. So that got me kind of chiefed. Let's talk about a little bit about that, because this doesn't usually. I mean, that's not true. I get chiefed on here a lot because I roll a lot of fat blunts and then smoke it straight to the face and get kind of chiefed off of it. But what are like your smoking habits, and like what do you obviously I've watched you spark up and smoke and rap and whatnot, but like when you're like seriously like when you're about to step into the booth to record, do you smoke before you do that? Are you smoking while you do that? Like what is your consumption methods like, or what is your consumption habits like, I should say, like when it comes to creativity, and then just outside of that in like your personal life?
Too much, honestly. Uh, I just like I smoke. It's kind of a crutch at this point, and I gotta fix that. But
Yeah.
it doesn't hinder me. So
You know,
uh,
I feel that crutch aspect though, because I definitely am like, I'm just addicted to like bong tokes and taking dabs. Like I'm just addicted to the feeling of it. Kind of like I was just addicted to smoking cigarettes because it was like the habit of smoking it, you know what I mean? Like the habit of like ripping a bong or like taking a dab or like sitting here and smoking a blunt, like just that like feeling alone, I'm absolutely addicted to it. And I think about it like I dream about it. I think about it when I wake up, like you know, I'm constantly thinking about it, so I feel that.
I used to smoke cigarettes too. So like I have there's also the loving, but then there's also a spiritual like also really attached to. where
Totally.
it allows me to, it feels like a different perspective. I get high.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can hear things different. I can see things a little different. Like I think it connects me better to what we can't see. We
Yes.
can't see the point, but I feel connect the plane down. When I'm mixing, I'm super high. Like I'm hearing it comes out crazy. I'm like,
Yeah.
you'll hear on the next project, but all of you,
Yeah, no,
so
I'm really looking forward to the next project. Everything that you've talked about and like your process in making it so far throughout this conversation, like I'm ready to hear it. I'm super excited to hear what this is going to sound like. And I feel you on that too. Different levels of being stoned or even like with shrooms as well. I've really incorporated that. I've been able to write some of my favorite things while I was high as shit, and I never would have been able to write it had I not been high. Like if I would have remained sober, I would have never thought to do it, or I would have never like focused in on this one like sound or this one little like detail or quality of something, you know what I mean? Like I've been listening to something so in depth because I was so high before that I noticed like little things like if a phone goes off or something, you know, right next to the mic, like if they're holding their, I can tell if they're holding their phone in front of them right next to the microphone while they're spitting into it because you can hear their fucking phone go off.
wow.
And I've heard that before in a recording because they didn't realize it and shit. And that's, I mean, that's what you get with a lot of these underground cats that are recording in their bedroom, you know what I mean? You get a lot of those things. But it's cool. But I probably wouldn't have noticed that had I not been stoned with my headphones on, you know?
Yeah.
But that's what I love about being high and listening to these things. And I'm sure, you know, when you're mixing and you have to listen back and you're listening to it, it's kind of like the same thing my brain might be doing when I'm listening to music, even though I don't. I'm not an engineer. I don't do any mixing. I'm not like that's not my forte or anything, but I feel like I just have like the mentality of it when I'm listening to music cuz I like listen for these all like these small little sounds or something like that. Do you have like a favorite instrument or a favorite kind of like sound that you like in your for your beats or just like in general listening to music?
Um, yeah. So for I like stuff sampled a lot. Um, this is intentional.
Yeah.
As far as stuff that I just listen to, I like to listen for like unique sounds. It's not necessarily for yeah specific instruments or specific unique sounds. Like Herbie Hancock's Watermelon Man, he had it's this fucking like train whistle that sounds like it's or some shit. Like
Yes, I love Herbie Man and Herbie Hancock, and I got Earl Bostick up behind me right now. Like I got so many records of some old shit like that that have some cool ass unique sounds to it that we still hear like I don't know, when I come across like a producer who sampled something like that, like it gets me so hyped because like it brings me back to like you know the early digging in the crate years and shit like that. Like you find all of those weird like fucking crazy train whistle or something like that, you know what I mean? And then when you can sample that and flip it into something else and you know kind of keep it on the low and nobody knows where you found it and then you're like listening and you're like, "Oh shit." Like those moments are what I love and have always loved about hip hop as well. Um
it's like
so
it's the
yeah.
hardest stuff.
Cool.
It's always been driven by inspiration from other art. you know, like part of it when you sample something and turn it into something completely different that there would have been. You know,
Yeah.
I just found this song by Shine. Uh, I don't know if you know him, Bad Boy. The song that there's a bar in the song. He goes, "I got a question. Where the fuck can say that somebody better answer it." And there's a sample that they use, and they got it from this Sylvester Foster, which is this young ass kid. He was like a cop,
Damn.
and they took this bass line song and they took it and they sampled that for the entire bass song that I'm talking about.
Damn.
And so like that's hip hop, right? Like that shit's amazing. Like I randomly crossed it too. Dude.
That is so cool, though. I'm telling you, man, those moments are what I really truly live for with this shit. And so it's cool to be able to connect with somebody who feels like the same way and has that same feeling. So I'm fucking pumped for this new project to come out from you. And everybody out there, everybody who listens to this, I urge you to go follow BlkSknn on everything and check out his discography and wait for this album to come out because I think it's going to be well worth it for sure. So, yes. Anything you want to leave the people with, any last kind of thoughts or sentiments as we wrap up this hour?
Yeah, man. Shout out to South End Music. He produces a bunch of my shit. Shout out to that I can't. You know, shout out to Distorted Square. He mixed up and all the shit that I'm working on now. Shout out to Kyle Candy, production on this shit. He's also got a feature on it. Shout out Rishi Smiley. Got a feature on here.
Yes.
On here. Yeah, shout out everybody who helps me out. Shout out to Respect Region. Yeah.
Appreciate you, man. Yes, snaps for everybody, snaps for yourself, snaps for all those people, and snaps for our viewers as well. I appreciate these people that have been popping in and out this entire episode to listen into this. Y'all will be able to run it back as well. It's going to be on all over our YouTube, all over our social media as well. And then it's also going to be distributed out onto like Spotify and Apple Music and all of those other streaming platforms to go check it out. So, a bunch of information is in the comment section. Follow us. Our socials are down here at the bottom of the screen as well. And if you're listening into, it's at TAYLORHAAART. For me, BlkSknn, where can they find you?
You can find me easiest ways if you go to BlkSknn.com. BlkSkNN. Scroll all the way to the bottom of that. Click which social media you like. You can find all my music there too. You can find music videos there. So it's a great place to be.
Yeah, and to make it convenient for you, I even put the website in the comment area or in the little caption area down below, description, bio, whatever you want to call that thing. It's down there, so go check that out and go explore all of his music and his videos. They are very nice to watch, really dope little aesthetics to it, kind of like what I was talking about earlier. So if you didn't tune in earlier and you're just tuning in now, go run it back from the beginning once it's posted so you can hear all about everything we talked about. So I really appreciate you again for tapping in with me and talking today. And hopefully I see you out in the wild at some point when you get out of your Pokeball, and we can chop it up some more, and whatnot. And hopefully I can catch a show soon, because that would be nice. So,
25th, I'm coming up.
Bang
Yeah.
bang. Well, shit. Put it on the calendar and done. And Taylor will make sure that she's there. I do have a habit of buying like multiple concert tickets for the same night. So I'll just go ahead, and if I'm not there, I'll still support it anyways. I've spent so much money on shows that I didn't even make it to. Hey, but I'm all about the support.
That's the part that.
That's right. Even if I don't show up, I still gave you some fucking money for it. So and I feel good about that, okay? I'll still post about it. I'll still pay for it. I might just not make it. You never know. Sometimes I get too high and I end up asleep in bed. So self-care is important too, people.
Absolutely.
On that note, I'm going to wrap it up here. I appreciate y'all. I will be back again next Saturday with another guest. If I remember correctly, I do believe it's Juju Twist, who was supposed to be on a couple of months ago, but I had to reschedule with him. So I think he will be on next week. I could be mistaken, but I hope that I'm not, because it would be really dope conversation as well. So, yeah. Yeah, I rock with Juju, so it should be a good episode. Today was a good episode as well, so I appreciate you. I appreciate all of our viewers. Go follow Respect My Region, subscribe to our YouTube. We are in the middle of the North American Weed Tour as well, so we got a bunch of other content for you. I got a whole other podcast I've been hosting for the past couple of months, all about women in the weed industry, and we got a ton of other podcast videos, weed reviews, everything you could possibly name. So go check out our shit. And I'll stop plugging and talking about myself and my company. So I appreciate y'all. This has been Blunt Talk, episode 36. Next week for another episode. I will talk to y'all later. Okay.